Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. I'm going to be listing some things in my coffee shop this afternoon and maybe into the evening because I'm going through things and sorting for the fun packs. The first thing that I want to show you is this little fiber arts journal that I made, oh goodness, a few months back I think. And it was made from one of the fiber arts packs. It's just something that you can pick up and run with as far as slow stitching. You could glue things into it. It's mostly just layers of fabric. There are some paper flowers that I drew and painted. And I don't think I've put any pockets in this. I think most of these layers are just sewn down. So you could add pockets if you wanted to. I love this. So this would be a really good foundation to just start adding to. And there's a fabric flower I made to just add to as far as slow stitching. There is a little pocket in the very back. So this is in the coffee shop. Oh look, there's a piece of random homemade paper. Let's stick that in there so that pocket won't be empty. This is in the coffee shop. And then let me show you the first pack that I have, the first junk journal ephemera pack. The first thing it has is this vintage jar from Yardley Solidified Brilliantine. I guess this was like a lavender pomade or something, but I love this old jar, and it's filled with different charms and buttons. So, oh, I saw something fly away. Here it is, a bead. So this is in the pack. This pack is called Spread Your Wings because it's got this beautiful piece of scrapbook paper right on top. And I'm just gonna flip through. I don't need to say too much. There's scrapbook paper. There are vintage book pages. There are things like this textile sample. Here are some pages from an old Rubber Stamp Madness magazine. I think these are fun to use. We have a couple of little die cut images, paper, more scrapbook paper. Here's a little paper sample. And here is a piece of stained stationery. A few little pieces of, this was probably origami paper, but I love to use this in my die cut machine. There is a little ribbon, or not ribbon, piece of yarn. And then in here we have a few postage stamps, a couple of tags. I think I lost something. I'll have to make sure it ends up in here. Could be sitting in these pages somewhere. There it is. So this heavy piece of paper, I think that's watercolor paper. And let's go ahead and put these in the envelope. There is a tiny little piece of paper with some pretty faces on it. And then this little card with some pretty yarn. There's a large piece of really pretty fabric here. This is an upholstery sample. It's cotton and it has been washed and dried. I think it had some sizing in it that made it a little stiff, so I went ahead and washed it. And then map pages. Here are a few pieces of the patterned textured wallpaper, and there's some more of the origami paper. I love the designs of that. Then we have some very old pages from Eric's Fashion Quarterly. These are from 1882. Look how gorgeous they are. Beautiful old images. Piece of stained paper, just a little tiny piece of scrapbook paper. Beautiful page from an old book of birds. That's the cedar waxwing. We have little bits of scrapbook paper and a little journaling card, book page, more scrapbook paper, origami paper. There's a little piece cut out of a digital, like a magazine, digital collection. There is a piece of wrapping paper. Here's part of an old photo holder, little phone message page, more journaling spots, journaling cards, scrapbook paper, little pieces cut out of images I printed out. There's a beautiful old book page, another book page, and then there is a clear, is that a pocket? Jay, I think you sent me some of these. Yeah, so you can slide something in here. Jay sent me a few of those. And then scrapbook paper. Here is another page from the Eric's Fashion Quarterly. Scrapbook paper with some circles cut out. Things like that are fun to use. Book page from a nature book. And I think that's something I put together and printed out for one of the zines. Scrapbook paper, textured paper, an old book page. Here's a book from a little ledger. There's an old newspaper article about Robert Redford, and another old newspaper page. This is pretty heavy. That must have been an art print of some kind. Just a pretty image. They're outside with the baby and the men are looking over the fence. There's just a book page with text, a beautiful page from a bird book. And we have, this was from an art book, I think. And that's just another something from a paper I printed out. Piece of scrapbook paper. Here are some pages from the book from the Museum of Modern Art that had the stamps and the images in it. And their Museum of Modern Art. And that, there's just a little circle punched out of an image. Handmade paper. Here's a reproduction of an old picture. We have some typed pages that were for a school guideline from the 70s. This is where somebody had practiced their italic handwriting or their cursive or whatever. People used to get these little calligraphy sets. So maybe that's not italic. I don't know what font that is. And then here is a pretty old page. These are from the Ladies' Home Journal, May 1918. And Lucky Strike ad, that's from a very old book. Piece of painty paper. There is some wallpaper, wrapping paper with donuts on it. Fun. Here's a greeting card with the envelope. Some more pieces where I cut out, printed some images and then cut some out. There's a bridge score sheet. More scrapbook paper. I love, with the holes cut in things, the way you can glue them down on pages and sort of showcase certain parts. There's some old pieces of that's a really old catalog, I think a Sears catalog. And then I think that's just one page. Yep, an old book page. That's the Q section. More things that I printed and cut out. Some beautiful playing cards. And here's the top of a little book, Great Expectations, The Paradox of the Beautiful Woman. There's a vintage postcard that was cut out of the book of digital images. Here's another page from that Eric's Fashion Quarterly. It's some ads. Look at the bobbins. Patent ready wound bobbins for shuttle sewing machines. Here are some dictionary pages with the images. That's my favorite, when they have the old illustrations in them. Part of an old magazine page. Book pages and pieces of book pages. Just some beautiful, beautiful stuff to use in your junk journal. Another dictionary page. And then here is another page from a different book of digitals. And another old ad page. Beautiful old book page. This was the inside cover of a music book, and all on the outside you can see where people have written little notes. There's a lot in here. So there's an old envelope. Again, pieces cut out of old fashion magazines and just all sorts of things. Here is a really fun old map. Guide to the Sand Gorgonio Wilderness. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I have not been there. Whoa. And then this from 1948. Premium receipt for life assurance. Life assurance safety. Old, another Eric's Fashion Quarterly. And here's a little piece cut from a very old ledger. Another bit of music. Here is another old magazine page. I think that was the back of the magazine. And this gorgeous piece of music. Look at the front of that. Another book page from a children's book. This is one of the paintings, the collage things I did, and I was printing it out on different types of paper with different settings to try to get the color right. More things that I printed, things from my digital collection. And then here is another vintage greeting card, or a vintage greeting card. Little children's book page with the elephant. It's got a lot of coffee staining on it. And then here is a textile sample with these cotton pieces here, sort of gauzy. And this is from a music book about the recorder, I think. And a couple of random pieces of fabric. One is a sample and one is cut from some upholstery fabric. 3 very fun playing cards. This is sort of the instruction card or tells about the deck of cards. Part of a piece of wrapping paper. And then here is a beautiful piece of wallpaper. And this is a Chinese paper cut. They're very delicate. I like to take a page and just paint it with Mod Podge and then very carefully lay out the paper cut. It's tricky. It can get wrinkled up because it is so lightweight. That is a piece of paper that came with a different paper cut, and I love that little emblem there. Another dictionary page. There is some wallpaper. That was just a random copy made that I found at a thrift store. More dictionary pages with the images. These are so fun to work with. You could just cut out the actual image. Little piece of scrapbook paper. Piece of stained, heavy, just general purpose paper. All purpose, I guess. And then here is a page from an old yearbook where people have written messages. Another page from the yearbook. And a couple more. And then a couple of pages from an herb book. And these pages were distressed with some tea and then dried. And then here is this last piece of scrapbook paper on the back. So we have, that's a lot. That's a really nice bundle of papers and stuff to work with. So there's that, and this goes with it. So both of those things are in the I always want to say coffee. I think it's Ko-fi shop. And I will be listing more today, so stay tuned and bye for now.